Thank you very much. Thanks to you and thanks to Klepa for giving me the chance to present here. A warm welcome from my side to everyone here. I think a lot of you, from what I've seen from the attendees list, know me, have heard me talk about SCIP in the last year, and or have discussed SCIP database with me, sometimes to quite a lot of detail and extent. So I'm happy to be here. And as you said, I'm kind of picking up Marco's hot potato to have a look at the other side of the table, if you want me to say so, talking about our experiences after, well, 4 months of SCIP reporting, or even more than 4 months of SCIP reporting. Our own iPoint solution has gone live in November. So we have had quite a look into SCIP reporting. And let us just have a look at what we've seen, the challenges that we've seen, and also the approaches that we see that can be taken to successfully report to SCIP. Also, thanks to you, Telmo, for giving the introduction on the ECHA side of things, because that lays the ground also of what I will be showing to you now. What we will be looking at is the challenges of SCIP reporting, and there's quite a number of them, and I think we're all aware of that. There's different challenges depending on what you're doing, what your products are, which industry you're in. There's some that are rather specific to automotive industry. Some things are easier, some things are harder. Then let me go into the question of what you can do. And I think from what we've discussed and heard both in Telmo's presentation and also in Marco's talk, there is quite a strong argument to go for an IT-based solution. And I'm not only saying that because I'm here as a representative of iPoint, but there's quite some things that can help you make your life easier. And then let's look at what's coming. And if there's any questions, I'm not sure we have time now. If there aren't, let me just mention I'll be available in the networking area during the coffee break. And I think you all know how to reach out to iPoint if there's any questions. So, challenges. There are quite a lot of them. Let me start with some number crunching. But we have had the new figures, so I'm still having the figures that were presented by ECHA in April. So we have an update thanks to Telmo now. There were some guesstimates, let's say, last year coming also from the background of automotive industry, saying there is an expectation of having about 1 to the times 10 to the power of 12 dossiers in total in Europe. And we know that we already have 3,000 companies in Klepa, so we'd expect that to be a lot more. Telmo just said we have now 8 to the power of 7 or 8 to the power of 6 dossiers at the moment, so we see there's still a gap. I know that you're all working on that, and that you're all working hard on getting your submissions done. We've also heard that we have about 4,000 legal entities having submitted, and we can guess that there still is a gap and there's still more to come. And I don't want to put the blame into anyone, but what I'm about to say is there are challenges that we're facing. There is a reason why there's not more dossiers there at the moment, and let me just look into that. Another piece of number crunching here, and that was a guesstimate done also based on some efforts doing that in the iEuclid online system. We've heard from Telmo just now that most of the dossiers submitted come via the system-to-system solution, and there is a reason for that. There was an attempt to manually submit a product, and that took 6 hours to generate in iEuclid. If you guess you have 600 products, you have 2 updates to the candidate list, that's fair to use that because you also have changes to your products, you have new products, you do need to update your reports, etc., etc. That amounts to 900 person days for manual submission per year. So it's easy to guess if you have a lot of products, you will require a system-to-system submission that will allow you for bulk submission of data, bringing down the submission times to 5 to 10 minutes per product, meaning you have a return on invest in less than 1 year if you go for any kind of solution. So that was the kind of number part. Not going to bore you anymore with that. Let's have a look at the challenges that we have. First and foremost, and I think I don't need to discuss that, we're talking about the sheer number of dossiers that we have due to the amount of products multiplied by the number of legal entities, of course. And we now, since April, do have a hard cut limiting the dossier size to 1,000 components. And you know that particularly for automotive OEMs, that is a challenge. You cannot simply boil down your product sometimes, but you have to. There is the option of referencing, of course, also leveraging the option of self-referencing. That can be used here, and that definitely is a way forward. So keep an eye on the size of your products and how to move forward. Then, and that has just been discussed, the question of the number of legal entities. You need to identify those legal entities and you need to coordinate their submissions. You can, of course, leverage the system-to-system, the simplified SCIP notification, and that in addition with the system-to-system submission can make your life a lot easier. But still, you have to handle it. You have to juggle the number and the multiplication factor that comes in. Another challenge that people are facing is a discrepancy in the pick lists. You all know there's some pick lists that ECHA has provided that you need to report against, and you must report against these. But we all know in IMDS, there's a different SVHC list. There's more substances on the SVHC list. SCIA is making a huge effort every time the SVHC list is updated to add and figure out which CAS numbers, which substances actually need to be covered by the group entries. Now we have a list from ECHA that we all have to report against. No chance, we have to use that one. But in the last update we saw in January, we saw that the candidate list for SCIP has been extended a lot beyond what has been added to the candidate list by Commission. So keep an eye on that, because the list has been extended by more than 80 substances, but only 2 from the candidate list update. Again, a strong pledge for using an IT-based solution. We do at iPoint in our solution, and all of our users know that, provide updated lists whenever there is a legal update that would automatically then check against what has been provided and what's there. Make your life easier if you can. Then, of course, there's something like a material category pick list that you have to adhere to. In that case, that's something that's a lot easier in automotive industry because you have the VDA material classifications that you're already using. Leverage that, leverage the mapping table that SCIA has come up with, figure out which classifications you're using and what they're mapped against, and then use that. Spare part, that was just the question. In our opinion, if you're having spare parts that you're putting on the market, you need to put them into the SCIP database as well. We do have a solution, and that's another recommendation. Figure out what your data structure is that you have your spare parts in, and if possible, also get them into an IT system and report them in bulk. Some technical challenges that we faced and that all of us have faced is the availability of the database. Sometimes it just seems it's overloaded with submissions and it's very slow. Sometimes there's downtimes, so you cannot submit all of the times. And that's and when I look at the list of submission failures and business rules that have been validated from ECHA side, my assumption is that sometimes it's just hard to keep track of your status, which I can understand. So you submit something, you're not getting something back, you try to resubmit, and then you get an error because you have 2 submissions running on the same product. That is a hard thing. That is something actually that we have continuously improved to track the status in quite some detail to prevent those cases. And one looking back, rather funny issue was the structure of system-to-system keys. If you submit via system-to-system interface, you need a so-called secret system-to-system key for your legal entity. System-to-system key needs to be in base 64 characters, but hasn't been from what you've received. So I'm not sure that has been updated yet, but anyways, have an eye on that. Let's have a look at how to move forward. I've tapped into some already. Just a brief glimpse at how we view it and how we view our solution. That's a rather recent picture we've been created. On the left-hand side, you see all the troubles that you're facing. You have a lot of legal entities, you have a lot of products. You need to pick those that you actually need to report based on the criteria that just have been described. Get them into a system with all the data you have, analyze them, automatically create a dossier, put it on the pile of dossiers that you've already created, click a button, and bulk submit to ECHA. What we do, and all of those who know us know our kind of DNA, meaning the CARE principle. We do collect, analyze, report, and then evolve on what has been done. For SCIP, that means, of course, and all of our users know, we integrate into IMDS, pick up all the data that you have, leverage all the data that's there. That, of course, will be expanded with release 13 of IMDS, where we'll transfer more data or get more data potentially. We then, and this is also the DNA and ingrained in an IT system, of course, you can aggregate the data, analyze the data, so you automatically pick out those structures that actually oblige you to report. We then move to our SCIP solution, where we generate the dossiers, bulk report them, get back the data, track the status. And the last bit, of course, is the bit to come. Once we have done initial submissions, we can track, we can look at our products, we can check updates and evolve on that. Most of you know what our solution looks like. For those who know it, don't be worried. That's a mock-up, and the mock-up brought back my beloved dashboard. Those of you who've seen the old mock-ups will know it, and it's purple now. I still have it in green, but you get the message. So that's our SCIP system. Those of you who use our compliance system know that we would leverage the full integration system, the full system integration into all your systems, and leverage the data just as described on the CARE principle back and forth for SCIP reporting. We do have two other options, which is the essential option that will basically ask you to take care of the collection and analysis, and then file import your data and leverage all the options of a system-to-system solution. And the professional solution, where you will have a direct access to your own and supplier data. You can also communicate and grab data from suppliers and put it into the SCIP solution and report from there. That was the bit on our solution. Moving forward, let's have a look at how to simplify reporting. Talking about the amount of data, try and automate data collection and analysis. Analysis can be a tricky bit because you have to drill down on the SVHC, figuring out what is the lowest level component that does contain an SVHC. Try and automate as much as possible. Recommendation from ECHA is to reduce the BOM size to 2 to 5 levels. You can, of course, always do that manually to a BOM structure that makes sense to you, but if possible, automate that. And that's something that we allow you to do. We have some settings that allow you to define what part of the BOM structure that you have you want to use, and then how to move forward. What it looks like is like that. You see, this is a very simple demo version trying to represent the wiring harness, and we just break it down to 2 levels and then the SVHC. And that's done automatically, so you have the full structure and then you just boil it down. Also, try and make your life easy. You all know that oxides, lead oxides, and also diboron trioxide in glass and ceramics is not considered an SVHC. If possible, ignore those. If even better, try and have those automatically ignored like we do. As I said, map the VDA classes and also leverage the bulk submission. And we've seen that most users do that already. They go for the bulk submission. You see here, I have picked 3 dossiers that I want to submit. I could pick more. I click on upload and just bulk submit all of those. Multiplication, and that's what we talked about, legal entities. Leverage the simplified SCIP notification. That was a recommendation that also just came. Pick up the dossiers, submit them once for one legal entity, handle all legal entities within one system, submit your dossiers once, and then use the simplified SCIP notification for the rest of those that have to notify. And that will save you a lot of time in combination with the bulk submission, because then you can do a lot just in one lot. Observe the discrepancies in the SVHC list. I already talked about that. And if possible, of course, also automate your analysis. We do have discussed the spare parts. If possible, make use of the data structure you already have. We allow you to just report your spare parts as well as separate dossiers as compared to your, let's say, full product dossiers. Make your life easy also leveraging referencing options, if that makes sense, based on your data structure and based on your data complexity. I talked about the reports already. Make sure you keep track of what happens, not to fail because you submit multiple times the same thing, and make sure your system-to-system key, if you lose one, doesn't have dashes or underscores, because that will fail upload. So if you have one, regenerate one. And we know we have quite a number of, well, I think the most retries I've had was something like 14 to 20. I see Mathieu is back, so let me quickly come to an end on what I was saying. What's next? And that's grabbing up on what we just had in the previous presentation also. We will see the transfer SCIP data via IMDS release 13. So I think we will get better in reporting because there will be more information coming through the supply chain. Dissemination, to me, still is an open issue, and I wish we had that rather than later, because I think we might want to revisit the data once we know exactly what dissemination looks like. So that's a bit of a chicken and egg thing. And of course, we have the update of the SVHC list coming. We have changes in products, so we will have to revisit our products, re-go through, resubmit probably update dossiers. So that's something that we have to take into account and that will keep us busy. Finishing up with a slide that Jörg showed this morning, I think the key thing is make sure we have good data, make sure that our supply chains are resilient, and that we can build up on whatever we have to do. With that, thanks very much. See you in the networking area or grab some information at the booth, and thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Angelica. Very clear. SCIP seems a lot simpler now.
I'm glad.
But
that was all I wanted to do for you.
Yeah, and I think Telmo has understood that you are also waiting a lot for the information on dissemination, but that was part of the message. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we won't have time to do Q&A, but as we mentioned, we'll try to answer your questions, and you can reach out to our speakers in the networking area or in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks very much.